Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this market update. Both Michelle from Crescent Purchasing Consortium and myself from Dukefield Energy will start in a second. If anybody's got any questions or anything, please just put it in the question and answering session in Teams, and then both Michelle and I will answer those at the end. We'll just give everyone another couple of seconds just to jump in just before we start. Right, I think that's enough time. As I say, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Last market update before the summer break, and then we're going to start back up when everybody gets back from the summer holidays and everything. And we might have some interesting guests in the next couple from suppliers and bits and pieces going forward as well. So we'll have to see what happens. But I would just right, today's agenda. Michelle and I do a quick introduction. We're going to talk about the market updates, talk very quickly about the new framework, our portal, and then renewal strategy and some points of discussion, things that we're starting to see in the markets and things that are going on at the moment. I think we should make everybody aware and give you some information, just what to do and what not to do effectively. Michelle, do you want to just give a quick introduction to yourself and CPC?
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, so I'm Michelle Newcombe. I'm the procurement manager at the CPC, and I'm contract manager for this particular framework. So just a bit of an intro for those that may not know in terms of the CPC. So we're a purchasing consortium. We're owned and run by the FE sector, and we have over 80 frameworks now, which cover a wide range of goods and services, one of them being utilities. So ultimately, we're here just to make sure that we help members basically procure compliantly, easily, offering value for money with all of those as well. So yeah, we are part of the wider CPL group. So you might have heard of other sections of the company, which is tenant education services and tenant procurement services as well. So basically that side of the company offer a consultancy service, and whereas the CPC, we're here to work alongside Dukefield Energy to provide free advice basically with this framework. Thanks, Nick.
Perfect. Thanks, Michelle. Right, just give you a very brief overview of things, a little bit into Dukefield Energy and then into the markets. So gas, electricity and water, they can all be procured through the frameworks through a number of lots. Following a Public Contracts Regulation 2015 compliant tendering process, Dukefield Energy became the sole appointed consultant on the framework at inception. And I'm very pleased to say that the framework is now accredited by the Department for Education. So Michelle and I have done a lot of hard work in the background and everything, and got it rubber stamped with the Department for Education for the service it provides, for the value for money, the transparency and all the good things. And it is rubber stamped as the right way to procure your utilities through a framework. So Dukefield Energy, for those that don't know, we are a full service consultancy. We will do everything right from the initial tendering stage, look after you, look at the right strategy, everything. We do all the work on your behalf. Once we've done that, we will then pick out the right strategies for you, talk you through it all. And if you then decide to use the framework and decide to use one of the suppliers on the multi-supplier framework, then we will look after you through that contract period. We'll do all the bill validation, all the query management. We will actually sort of handhold through you, hold the whole process and manage everything on your behalf, taking all the hard work out of it and making sure we do everything. Towards the end of the contract, we'll obviously then start to look at new strategies, where the market is, what's best for you, whether it's fixed or flex, all the different products and bits and pieces that we do with our suppliers. We've got over 20 years of education sector experience, and we understand the energy issues faced by the education establishments right now. Had this huge energy crisis over the last 18 months. There's been lots of things going on, so we've been here to really offer help and support on what we can do. We're a safe pair of hands and a trusted partner for procuring gas and electricity contracts, and we've delivered CPC members over £3.5 million collectively on their gas and electricity contracts over the last 3 years. So market updates. It has been a very rocky time over the last 18 months. I am very pleased to say that markets are what I would call incredibly bearish. It's a very technical term. It just means the markets have been falling since the start of the year. It means everything is starting to come back down to some sort of normality. I say it with a bit of caution because prices, although they've come down hugely since the start of the year, they're still not quite where we would expect them. People are used to 2p on gas and sort of 12, 13p on their electricity. We're not quite there at the moment, but they are much better than where we were at the start of the year. We've seen gas prices around 18p in November, December time. I'm pleased to say that those gas prices are coming down to about 5.5p, depending on where you are in the country, and electricity similarly. We've seen 80, 90p for your day rate. That's now come down to around sort of 25 to 30p. So again, huge drops in the market. So we're not quite where we used to be, but much better outlook at the moment. Why is that? So unseasonably mild weather, very, very warm winter this year. And also gas demand in Europe fell considerably because of those huge price increases that we've seen. People really decided to turn off using as much gas as they normally would do across the whole of Europe, which then means our storage facilities throughout the whole of Europe and here in the UK are much more full during these summer months that we're seeing now than they normally are. It means we don't have to inject anywhere near as much gas at this point of the year, which means prices are falling and there's a lot less liquidity in the markets. China's economy obviously was halted due to the whole of COVID, and it is still being affected. It is getting back up and running now, but it meant things like LNG shipments fell in China by over 20%. That was very helpful for the UK and Europe because we then bought those energy shipments up for a much cheaper price and were able to use those to inject into our grid and to subsidise what we were using throughout the winter. So again, it did help these prices in the early part of the year to start to fall. We've also had some very strong winds. It is a very short-term factor, but with wind generation up 30% year on year over the last 4 years, it's really helping matters. The government and the UK grid really putting a lot of emphasis on renewable generation, and wind is just one of those. So it is starting to really pick up now, which is good news for the future. There's a couple of things to sort of take note about, and there's a few things that are really just happening right here and now. The EU are looking to ban Russian energy completely. There's still a few countries that are taking that. They're trying to ban it completely. If they do, it just means Europe as a whole is going to be competing against each other for those LNG shipments, whether it's from America, whether it's from the Middle East. It's going to get a lot more competitive, which we may see start driving prices up coming into the winter months. Keeping a very close eye on it, and we'll see what happens. There's also a few concerns around French strikes and aging and nuclear infrastructure. There's been lots of things going on in France, and we have a very a deal between us and ourselves in France that if they need help exporting electricity through our Channel Tunnel through to them, then we will do that. And we've seen that in the last few weeks and months where they've been having a few concerns around nuclear power stations and upgrading bits and pieces that they needed us to export a bit of electricity. It meant the prices spiked a little bit. They've sort of plateaued at the moment, and we're just seeing how that works out over the next few months. We've also seen, as everybody probably looked at the news over the last week, particularly last weekend, there's a few escalations in Russia. Now, Europe as a whole and the UK have completely pulled away from being reliant on to Russian gas and oil and everything there. However, any nervousness throughout the world or any sort of worldly events, it does have a knock-on effect on the markets at the moment. 18 months, 2 years ago, it wouldn't have done anything and the markets would have stayed nice and flat. We did see this week that there's been quite a bit of volatility. One day the markets spike up quite considerably, but then the next day it comes down equally as quick. The one thing to note, and it's something I'll come on to later on, is that yes, the markets spike on a day, but they're coming back down to exactly where they were the day after. We're not seeing a day on day rise. So we're not seeing a rise in market. We're just seeing a little bit of volatility in there. And it's one of the key things about when's the right time to purchase. And it's something that we do at Dukefield Energy, is ensure that, you know what, if we don't think today's a good idea and the thing we see prices spike and we know they're going to come back down, we will not advise customers to sign. We'll always have the best interest of customers at the heart. But that's just a little bit about the markets. We're also, just to touch on, there's been a few Norwegian outages from a gas pipeline coming from Norway into the UK. Again, just made the market spike up a little bit last week, but they've come back down again. So I'm pleased to say. So our lovely new framework. It has been 18 months in the making. We've always done gas, power and water. Nothing's changed on that. Still multi-supplier frameworks. You get competitive quotes across a range. So you can have a look at those and then effectively choose who you would like to go with. It attracts competitive quotes. They have to compete against each other in order to drive the prices down. And we think it's one of the better ways to do procurement through a compliant framework. Effectively, it is not just a single supplier basket. Once a supplier gets awarded a whole basket and those customers drop into those baskets, a supplier, they need to be able to be held account on those prices. And if once they've been awarded that, a single supplier can then effectively pick and choose what prices they're using. So it's by having multi-suppliers on the framework, it keeps everybody competitive. However, we've also noticed there's a huge goal for going net zero and carbon reduction at the moment, and we wanted to have a compliant route to market over a number of lots and offer those to all CPC members. So we've got a couple of these. Lot 4 is energy efficient solutions. So we're talking things like LED lighting. LED lighting is one of those real sort of low hanging fruit type reductions that you can do. It's around 60% more efficient than normal strip lighting. So really efficient and great. And you can see a huge reduction in the amount of electricity you use. It's also relatively inexpensive. So it does help. It's one of those things you don't have to spend a huge amount of money and you can see a lot of gain from those. So we've got a number of suppliers on lot 4 that can help with that. We've also got 2 lots for on-site generation, and that's solar photovoltaics. And there's a couple of options here. You can either have solar panels put on your roof. You can use that generation from the sun to subsidize what you use there at your site. So basically reducing the amount you're actually taking from the grid, so you don't have to spend as much. Or you can export that electricity that you make from the sun back to the grid for effectively a rebate. Now, back in the day, 4 or 5 years ago, that rebate would have been very, very good. You used to get a lot of money for that. Now, the subsidies have really been reduced. So most people looking at solar panels and everything tend to use it just to subsidize what they're doing at site. And that's what we'd look at the moment. We've also got heat pumps. These can be quite expensive, but they are some of the bits of kit that if you've already reduced your consumption base sort of say 40 or 50%, if you're really trying to get down to low figures of reducing carbon, these are the bits of kit that can really do it. So you've got ground source heat pumps, you've got air source heat pumps. These are the bits that can really help you on that road to a net zero. And supply metering services and building energy management software. So we're talking things like MOP, DA and DC for your electricity and ensuring that you're getting the best possible quotes there. But also we've got a company that deals very well in energy management software. So you may have spent a lot of money at your site doing LED lighting, putting in lots of heat pumps, and this management software will pull everything together. It allows you to control it centrally. It allows you to turn off certain buildings when they're not in use and turn them on when they need to be. It pulls everything together and makes sure everything is as efficient as possible. So that's a really good bit of kit there. And it also just allows you to control everything, which is great. So that's just the new framework. We've also here at Dukefield Energy, we've got our great portal. Now, it's something I always talk to customers about. The data is king. When you're talking about net zero and putting in like say grants and looking at funding and everything out about net zero, it's about having all your data to your fingertips, and it's something we're very, very keen. So we've got a partner in Systems Link. If you are a customer of ours, we effectively get your bills, we do the bill validation, and then that amount of data then gets fed into our portal. It allows you then as a customer to log in, have a look, and effectively we can tailor this portal to your needs. So whether it's consumption, comparing previous months, this time like June this year with June last year, you can compare building by building. You can look at where you're using the most amount of electricity. So if you've got half-hourly meters there at site, we can get that data. It gets plugged in, and you can see at times in the day where you're using the most amount of electricity. starts to put in, if one building's acting slightly different to another, you start asking yourself questions why, and then you can start to have a look at those things, and we can help and support that as well. So we've got a very good portal that is open to our customers. We can set you up as many logins as you need, and we can talk you through it as well. So that's the portal. Renewable strategy, and just some points to be aware of. It's some things we just want to bring to the market. So most important thing, and I say this all the time, is just don't leave it to the last minute. Always look 6 to 12 minutes, 6 to 12 months in advance. Sorry. It's important that you start getting the right strategy. It gives you plenty of time. There's no rush, and if anything happens in the market, it gives you time for things to come back down, or us to basically pick up a strategy. If you've got, I'm just going to pick up October renewals right now, you've got a couple more months. But if something was to happen during the summer, and we saw this last year, if something was to happen in August, prices shoot up. And by the time everyone kind of gets back to school and you can get sign off and everything, it doesn't give the markets any time to come back down to where they were at all. And you'll then start signing a contract at incredibly high rates. So it's just about starting to build that strategy and don't leave things to the last minute. We are here, whether you're a customer or not, a Dukefield Energy, a CPC member. If you come to us, we can offer some help, some advice, and let you know what we can do. We can start to build tenders. We can get your prices, and it's all no obligation. If we get you those prices to benchmark, have a look, effectively you can budget, and then we can look at the market to see when the best possible time to sign is as well. And again, I'm just going to touch on October renewals as well. So yes, the markets have dropped a lot this year, which is really good, but we are starting to see quite a bit of a plateau. We're not seeing some huge drops, but we're not seeing huge gains either. The things are kind of getting to what I would call a bit of a new normal. I don't think things are going to get back down to the stage that they were in previous years, where you're sort of paying 2p for gas and 12p for electricity. I think we're probably 5 or 6 years away from that, and a lot of other energy experts are saying the same thing. I think we're going to take quite a long time to get to any of those stages, if we ever do at all. And it's things I've been talking about customers, particularly this week as well, is that some customers that we will effectively give them some prices at the moment, looking at renewals and things. And yes, prices may drop a few percent at the moment between now and say October. However, if we was to suddenly see escalations rise considerably in Russia again, or something else was to happen with France or anything else like that at all, we might see gains of over 20, 30, 40% overnight very quickly. And it's not about scaremongering or anything else at all. It's just about trying to talk to customers about, don't leave it to the last minute. Hopefully it may drop another couple of percent, but you're risking, by trying to get down to those couple of percent of a market drop as we're seeing, you might risk things going up by sort of 20, 30%. So we analyze the markets constantly, daily. We look at everything and we give the most amount of information to all our customers. However, it's just about keeping an eye on those risks and not waiting till the last minute and leaving it just to try and get another couple of £1,000 off, where things could go up, you know, hugely, around sort of 20, 30% overnight. We saw it last year, and we just want to make people aware of that. Again, we're here to offer individual help to people. There is no need to look at long-term contracts at the moment. As we're saying, we're still seeing, on average, this market is dropping. Yes, we got to this plateau, but things are looking, you know, positive in the future. What I would hate, and we're starting to see people come to us and say, "Oh, this consultancy has offered me you know, to lock in until 2027. You know, maybe the gas is going to run out," or all these things. That's not the case at all. And what we'd hate, and what we don't advise people to go, is go really long term. Because if you do go long term, and we get through, you know, sign a new contract from the 1st of October for another 3, 4, 5 years, and then we do see coming into next year that the markets then drop off again, just like we've seen this year, then you're still stuck on those prices for another 4 or 5 years, and we'd hate that. So we're really advising customers at the moment, look at 1, look at 2-year contracts, but 3, 4, 5 years is not what you should be doing right now, particularly fully fixed rates. Obviously, it's a slightly different strategy if we're looking at flexible contracts, which again, you can take advantage of in these markets at the moment. Don't feel pressured as well. We are seeing small daily spikes in the market due to a few things that are going on at the moment. Now, we are starting to hear and see all the customers we talk to, and people, whether they're current customers of ours or new customers, we'll suddenly see that other consultancies out there are starting to see a very, very small daily spike. We'll suddenly email that customer and say, "You must sign now. Everything is going to go horribly wrong. It's suddenly going to jump up, you know, 20, 30%. It's going to continue to rise for the next 5, 6 months." It's not the case. We are seeing things that do spike, but it's coming back down. As I say, we haven't had a continual increase day on day for a long time now. We will see a spike in a given day, but then over the next couple of days, things drop back down to where it was. So it's about just having that information to your fingertips. It's about thinking about it, and don't get scared into signing something very, very quickly with someone giving you lots and lots of pressure. If they're giving you the information around it and seeing what's actually happened between the start of the year and now, it's a general decrease in prices with a few days that spike up and come back down again. So again, if anybody wants some advice and help on any of this at all, please just get in contact with yourself and the team, and obviously people can talk that through with you. And ensure that, another point is just ensure the strategy is the right approach for you. Couple of questions. Do you know what rates you're signing up to? We've heard and we see people that will sign something to sign up for a 3-year deal somewhere that they don't even know what the rates are going to be. They will effectively sign into something to say, yes, we'll use that basket, but unfortunately, they won't know what rates they are for another couple of months. Things might go wrong. That organisation might procure in the wrong way, and you're suddenly there. You've signed something, but you don't have any idea about what those rates would be. You can't budget, you can't look at it, and there's no certainty about it at all. We do give you complete budget certainty. We can have a look, we can price things as many times as you want, and we will break it right down to the pence per kilowatt hour, your standing charges, everything, and we break it down meter by meter so you can see everything. That's the most important thing. It's about being transparent completely, and whether it's commissions, how we're getting paid, everything, we always put that into emails, and we always put it into black and white for you so you can see it. That's the most important thing. If anybody else you're working with doesn't do that and doesn't give you those information that you ask for, you have to question yourself why. Another question is just, are you free to leave at the end of your supply contract? Are people trying to tie you in for a long period of time with different contracts? It's just about having that flexibility. We only ask you to sign the letter of authority here, and it doesn't tie you into anything. All it does is allow you to get us to get prices from suppliers. It doesn't allow us to sign anything on your behalf, and it doesn't lock you in with us. The only thing you would sign for Dukefield Energy would be the LOA and a supply contract that you would just honour, a bit like a mobile phone bill and anything else like that. If you sign a 12-month deal, that's what you're locked into. At the end of that, you are free to do anything else you like. We would never keep people and sign them into something that they don't want to do. And also, just it's a strategy built around you. Every customer who comes to us will build an individual strategy. We'll look at it, bearing in mind your portfolio makeup, when your contract's up, everything. We'll ask all those questions around risk. Are you looking at flexible contracts, fixed contracts, all these bits and pieces? We can offer lots of support. So we build things around you. What we don't do is just go, yes, we can get you some prices and put you into a big basket with lots and lots of other people. That's not what we're about. It's much more about building the right strategy around you. And answering those questions and giving you that flexibility around everything. So there's just another bit there. So has anybody got any questions? I'm just going to, here's our contact number and our email address as well. It will come straight through to the team. So if anybody has want to take anything offline at all, by all means, get in contact with us and the team and everything, and we can come back to you as soon as possible. And that's that there. But I will just give you a couple of seconds to jot that down, and we will share these slides with everybody here and anybody else that's signed up as well, just to give you that information. But what we will do is, if no one's got anything, I will just stop sharing my screen. And then, has anybody got any questions as well?
I've just opened the question and answer section, so if you do have and you just want to pop the message in there, I can read it out on your behalf, so feel free while you've got this time. Nothing coming through as yet. Did we say the next one, Nick's not going to be till September now, so it's worth if anyone's got any
definitely. We're just looking,
questions.
we'll put a sort of pin in it just while we sort of go through those summer months and everything and everybody. But once everyone's kind of back from school, we realise that first few weeks of end of August, early September is very, very busy for everyone. So we won't put anything quite in there, just that. But certainly late September, once everyone's back. And if anybody has anything, then we'll get something in there. We're also, as I said before, we're looking at partnering up with some of our some of the suppliers on the framework and inviting some guests just to do a bit of a guest presentation and a spokesperson just to answer any questions, but also just give a bit of a flavour of what they do as well, just to mix things up a little bit. But no, not seeing anything. That's going to be a first.
Oh, we've got a hand up.
Anthony,
Here we
how are we
go.
doing? Just
Are we able to unmute Anthony?
I don't know if people can come off mute. You can
not
just drop it in the chat or the question and answering session, Anthony, and we can read it and go from there if you like.
Yeah, and I have just received another one as well here. So from Sean. So if we are tied into a 1 to 2 year contract at the moment, would it be reasonable to reduce our budgeted figures for the gas and electricity when they are due for renewal?
Yes, Sean, I will just, it depends when you sign those 1 or 2 year deals. Obviously I can take a bit of a guess. But if they were any time last year, prices, as we all saw last year, prices were incredibly high. If those then are coming to an end over the next sort of 12 months or so, or 18 months, then yes, prices currently are looking much, much better right into next year compared to what they have been. Obviously, we have to take a bit of pinch of salt with what's going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months as well. You know, we may see something else happen that no one can predict at all. So we always have to be a bit careful there. But right now, if I was to get you or look at prices from starting, say, 1st of April next year, those 1st of April prices are much cheaper than what we've seen before. Oh, someone else is
in the chat, but yeah. So we've just renewed electricity and gas 2022 and 23 2-year deals. If prices have dropped, is there any way of changing the contracts before they expire?
Oh, the buyout clauses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it says you just renewed them. Right now, prices, I don't think we've had a huge drop from the start of the year to now. Over the last 2 months, we've seen a slight drop. Looking into the winter months and everything else, and things typically get slightly more expensive into the winter months as when winter months start sort of 1st of October. So we might see a very slight rise moving into the winter if everything stays where it is at the moment and nothing else happens around the world and everything. Just to answer your question properly, Lisa, you can't break a contract if it's a fully fixed contract and you've signed those for a 2-year deal. Suppliers won't allow you to leave. Suppliers will if you buy your contract out, but what will happen with that is you'd have to buy the remainder of your contract to effectively what the commodity is, which will be quite expensive, and then you'd still have to go and re-procure that at the new rates, and the difference between what you paid before and the new rates would have to be a huge difference for it to be worthwhile. So I would certainly suggest no one sort of breaks their contract and tries to buy themselves out, because you'd probably find it would be much more expensive. Effectively, you'd end up buying out of one contract and then entering into another one and paying for, you know, effectively because you bought yourself out of that one, you're paying almost twice. So the rates that you would have to buy into now would have to be very, very low to make it worthwhile. There are, and some suppliers, and we take it on a case-by-case basis, would do what we call a blend and extend, where some of them would allow you to extend your contract out further for maybe another year, and would effectively blend the rates that you're currently on with the rates that are right now, the here and now. So they look at the market and they blend the two together, and it may give you a bit of a discount, but what you would effectively do is just extend the length of your contract as well. Some suppliers will allow you to do that, but we could do that on a case-by-case basis. So Lisa, if you want to get in contact or you want any support, or we can certainly, myself or one of the team can help you with that.
Thank you.
Currently, woo, finger in the air. There's so many different factors. It depends where you are in the country. It depends on the length of contracts you're looking at. It depends on lots of different factors. What I would suggest right now is, if I was looking at a very average West London, this is a very sort of finger in the air from 1st of October for a 12-month contract for you. I would argue gas would probably between sort of 5 and 5.5p, give or take, and electricity around 20 to 25p from the 1st of October. It may change slightly. It depends on certain other factors, your makeup of your meter, believe it or not, and it's crazy, things like height above sea level, all these other bits and pieces all take into consideration. But that's roughly where we'd put sort of a finger in the air. Again, that has an effect as well, volume, everything. Yeah, but with the Trust for 5 schools, We can certainly help. We can look. I don't know when your renewal contracts are up, but please, yeah, by all means, just get in contact. We can look out to at least 12 months in advance if you want. And we can just start putting things into process. Don't have to sign anything. There's no obligation. Doesn't cost you anything for us to get prices or build tenders or anything else like that at all. April 24. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Anybody between now and April 2024, definitely. If you just want some help and support, get in contact. Just drop us an email or go by CPC, and we can certainly help. We take things very, we make it very easy for you. It's just a LOA and a supply information template, just so we can have an idea, and we'll get one of the account managers here to just help you out, just give you some budget prices and bits and pieces, so we can actually give you some better detail around that.
I'll pop my contact details in the chat as well, just so
yeah.
it's another avenue that people can make that contact as well.
Okay.
Thanks, Nick. I've not seen any others come through.
No, I've not either. No, I don't think there's anything there. As I say, yeah, both Michelle and I are always about if you get in contact with either of us or anything, then yeah, we're here to help support. The team here, we've done a lot of just supporting people, whether you do decide to use the framework and everything else and do sign those contracts, or whether it's just pointing in the right direction. The most important thing is we're just trying to get that help and advice out there to the education sector as well. So yeah, just we're more than happy to help, can offer some advice, and if we can help, we will. That's the most important. Great, thank you very much, everyone. Don't speak to anybody before the summer break. I hope you have a lovely summer, and we'll see everybody back in September.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you, everyone, for attending today, and yeah, have a lovely summer. Someone is typing. I'm just checking it's not going to be another question. Yeah. No, it's a thank you. Thank you, everyone.